Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka MAZUMA TV. Back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. Hope you had a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. We're gonna be speaking about Shakur Stevenson, recently training with Floyd Mayweather, and who could possibly be Shakur Stevenson's next opponent. But before we get into all of that, if y'all could please hit the like button on the way in. That'd be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,700 mark. Looking to crack that 3,800 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation, the mob, for making this possible. Big shout out to everybody that's been contributing to the channel, whether it's through Cash Apps, Venmo, Super Chats, the jewels being dropped in the Super Chats as well, man. Thank you very much for getting the channel to where it is and where it's currently going. Big shout out to the replay gang. Y'all not in the comments, but I know y'all in the building. Salute to y'all. And shout out to everybody that's in the comments so far. I'm not expecting that many viewers, off the rip tonight because I didn't really make an announcement. I really wasn't going to come on, but I just decided to come on just because. Just trying to stay consistent out here in these streets. So, they'll come in little by little. But I already know them notifications ain't really get sent out all like that. But we gonna have a great conversation regardless. Big shout out to everybody that's in the comments so far. Shout out to my boy Josue Hernandez. What's going on, brother? He said, "What's good?" I'm good, bro. I can't complain. Uh, I had 2 days off from work back to back, so I just been chilling, relaxing. But still working at the same time. Working at the gym. Taking care of my son. All that good stuff, man. Can't complain. Can't complain. Next week I should be free from this damn job, so I could really get shit on the road. And that's basically it. Yeah, I mean, who else? Shout out to my boy Des215. What's going on? What's going on? Josue said I see some reports of Core versus Gary Zuffa PBC co-promotion. I've seen that too, but and if it does happen, that's a great fight, and that's probably the best fight that could be made at 140 right now. Would love to see that fight, man. Gary Antoine Russell, he's a problem for anybody in the division, to be honest with you. Definitely not going to be easy to beat. You know what I mean? His speed, his explosiveness, good punching power, um, output. You know what I'm saying? His overall conditioning, his will to win. Um, Gary Antoine got a lot of dog in him, man. He got a lot of resiliency, durable. You know what I'm saying? He got a high knockout ratio as well, so that's not nobody to play with. And that Raul Venezuela performance, man, that was one of the most dominating. That was one of the most dominating fights that I've seen recently, where it was the challenger going up against the champion and just completely dog walking the champion. You know what I'm saying? So Raul ain't no joke, man. Like 2 out of the 3 dudes that he lost to, he avenged 2 of them. So, that tell you something about Raul. But Gary Antoine is a great fight for Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson has stated in the past that that's a fight that he would like to, get into. Gary Antoine pretty much trying to hold off on it, saying that he's not scared, but he wants to fight the marinade. He want to get that fight time, as if like he's like this super decorated fighter that really don't need that fight right now, bro. You need a fight like this in order to catapult yourself to the next level. You already doing a terrible job promoting yourself. You got zero marketing skills. You know what I mean? So it's like, come on, bro. Like the least you could do is fight another top champion in your division. And if you beat Shakur, you ain't gonna have to do no marketing, bro. People are gonna automatically know who you are. You know what I mean? You're gonna get a lot of popularity. You're gonna get a lot of attention from beating Shakur because Shakur is one of the most popular fighters, amongst this current crop of active champions. You feel me? So, but I don't know, man. These dudes is just different nowadays. Like I said, we in the risk averse era in the sport of boxing right now. And if y'all ain't see that live yesterday, go check it out, man. Yeah, but yeah, man. That's what people are saying. I did see the same reports you saw, Sway, but I'm not gonna be all in with my belief that that fight is gonna happen next, just based off of Gary Antoine's tone. But if he's able to change his mind and go ahead and take that fight against Shakur, we in for a great fucking fight, and that's a great first fight for Shakur Stevenson and that Zuffa deal. Shouldn't be any problems with the weight. They're both champions at 140. I don't think Gary Antoine's going anywhere anytime soon. I don't think Shakur's leaving that division anytime soon. You know, so we'll see. I think that's a great first fight for Shakur and that Zuffa deal. And if Gary Antoine goes ahead and after that Hiroka fight, which was pretty rough to be honest with you, if he goes from that Andy Hiroka fight to a Shakur Stevenson fight, I like it. I like it. Shout out to Marissa, you the boxing community's favorite. Shout out to Marissa, Yasser Ali, what up? Jay, what up? Slime, what up? Who else? Who else? Did I say what's up to Jay Cash? What's going on? What's going on, y'all? We got 21 people in the building. Thank you for tuning in. I'm highly appreciative. It's always humbling seeing that many people coming through just to hear me talk boxing, man. I love it. Reggie King, what up, man? Who else? Who else? If I already shouted out Yasser Ali, that's 2 times. What up? Money Bags, what up? He said Gary Antoine too rough for Shakur. I think a lot of people underestimate Shakur Stevenson's dog. I think Shakur really a dog for real. You know what I mean? That's just me. I seen him. I seen him in them trenches, and I seen how the way he get. You know what I mean? Shakur, if he got to bite down and rumble, somebody by the name of JCH said, "I thought you was Raymore Detalia." Damn, I ain't never get told that. That's a first for me. Do I look like a Mexican? Interesting. On some real shit, Mordecai do pass for he could pass for like another Hispanic, he could pass for being another type of Latino though. Like he don't look like a full-on Mexican if you really look at Mordecai. He kind of looked like he mixed for real. So ain't nothing wrong with that. Shout out to the boy Raymond Mordecai. He may be a possible Shakur Stevenson opponent as well. Yeah, Sir said, how do I see that fight playing out? Man, it's a tough fight, man. But I'm going to go with Shakur Stevenson because I think he's the more intelligent fighter. You know what I'm saying? I think that Shakur can disrupt a lot of – because to really beat Gary Antoine, man, you got to disrupt his offense. You got to either completely, stop his momentum from going on or disrupt his rhythm consistently throughout the fight. Gary Antoine is what you call somebody who is really big on momentum. He needs momentum behind him in order to really start putting belt to ass and get himself going in these rounds. Like Ryo did a horrible job of stopping Gary Antoine's momentum. He put up zero resistance, and that is exactly why he got dealt with the way he got dealt with. I think Shakur Stevenson is really good at utilizing his feints. I think he got a really good jab. He's an accurate puncher overall. He could fight on the inside. He could box from the outside. He could counter punch really well. The only thing with him that you got to be cautious of with Shakur is, obviously his hand injuries and stuff like that. But we seen that Shakur Stevenson could get on his bike for 12 rounds and move. You know what I'm saying? We seen that in the Edwin De Los Santos fight. He could move from side to side. You know what I mean? And he got pretty good, foot speed. So, he could give Gary Antoine a lot of different fits just because he's so versatile. Gary Antoine, I feel like he has no choice but to bring the pressure to Shakur. You know what I mean? I don't see a chess match happening. He comes out successful with Shakur. I don't deem him to be an intelligent, high IQ fighter like that. However, if he's able to, walk Shakur Stevenson down, which a lot of people had trouble doing. So that just makes me feel like Shakur may not be the biggest puncher, but he has enough punching power to get an opponent's respect. You know what I'm saying? There's people who got pillows. You got dudes who got respectable pop, where it's like, all right, I don't want to get caught with no shit that I don't see because it might put me on my ass. Then you got the guys who are devastating punches where it's like, I don't want to get hit with that whether I see the shot or not. I think Shakur is right in the middle, to be honest with you. I think what really helps Shakur is his punch placement. And I say this all the time as a boxing coach, as somebody that's been in the sport of boxing. Placing a punch is more important than being a power puncher. Because I've seen dudes who really can't punch at all, but because they know where to punch, they always seem to break their fighters down. See, let me tell y'all niggas something, right? There's guys that I know who have low KO ratios, but could punch like a son of a bitch. And then there's guys who don't really punch that hard, but got high knockout ratios. Why is that? accuracy. Accuracy. You can have all the punching power in the world, but if you don't know where to place that motherfucker, or you don't know where to hit a motherfucker at to put their lights out, that power is damn near useless. But if you have respectable power and you know exactly where to place the punches, you know how to, you know, put those punches in those areas, you know how to get an opponent to, open up so you can hit them, exactly where you want to hit them. You know what I mean? You could really have a nice little highlight reel at the end of your career. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Gary Antoine is going to try to blitz Shakur. You know what I mean? I think he's going to try to bring the pressure. I think he's going to try to walk Shakur, put him on the back foot, you know what I mean? And force him into a firefight. And Shakur Stevenson, he's one of them type dudes that, and also what gives me reassurance for that Gary Antoine Russell fight for Shakur is the Cepeda fight, because Cepeda's a volume puncher. And we seen Shakur really buckle down and go band for band with Cepeda. You know what I mean? Punching in combinations, his accuracy was on full display in that fight. And Cepeda was laying in some shit. Let's not get it wrong. So Gary's definitely gonna hit Shakur, throughout certain times in the fight. But I think Shakur Stevenson's defensive awareness, he had, his good footwork, his great jab, good counter punching, and his ability to also be a high volume type of fighter as well. I think that he has all of the tools necessary to neutralize Gary Antoine Russell. I think he beats Gary Antoine Russell. I don't think he knocks him out. I don't even think he knocks down Gary Antoine, to be honest with you. But I think that his ring intelligence, because he's more experienced than Gary Antoine at a high level. And let's keep it real. The one time that we actually seen him perform it was a couple times we seen him perform against, elite guys in his division. It was Rayo Venezuela, who, you know what I'm saying? To be honest, I'm gonna give him credit for the win, but it's like, bro, you beat Pitbull for your belt. You feel me? Like, you beat an undersized 140 guy who's really a 130, 135 guy. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Rayo came up from 135 as well, so I give him credit for that. And then you went up against fucking Albert Puello and you lost. You feel me? So, Shakur Stevenson then been fighting at a high level for a long time. He's beat more credible guys, in my opinion. So I think he definitely has the advantage in the experience department. I think that he's better defensively. I think he's the more accurate puncher. His output may not be as good as Gary Antoine's, but we've seen that if put in certain situations, he would not hesitate to let his hands go. I think he's just better than Gary all around the board. But Gary's qualities will make him a good fighter if he's able to put that on full display and execute it properly. He can give Shakur a lot of fits. You know what I'm saying? He could really give Gary a lot of fits. I mean, he can give Shakur a lot of fits. So that's why it's a great fight, in my opinion. Yasir Ali says, I ain't gonna lie, Hiroka versus Shakur would be fire. Yeah, but the problem with Hiroka is he's a slow starter, man. He showed that in the Gary Antoine fight. He didn't start turning that shit up to like the mid to late rounds. And by the time he got shit started, Gary Antoine already had put up a nice little comfortable lead. You know what I mean? Then Gary bit down at the end. He was able to get the nod and shit. But, if Hiroka starts early, he could be a problem. You know what I mean? But Shakur is just very intelligent, man. Like, he's the type dude that I think you're going to need to be a special fighter to beat him. Like, I only see, the top guys having a chance at beating Shakur. You know what I'm saying? Like of course, Devin Haney, he's elite. You know what I'm saying? Gervonta Davis, if they were to ever fight, I would give Gervonta Davis a solid chance, because Gervonta, regardless of how the way we feel about him, he's an elite fighter. You feel me? Don't be really wanting any trouble, but he's an elite fighter. I see guys, I only see them two guys, and to get, like them two overall having the strongest chances of beating Shakur. Everybody else is like, you know what I mean? From the 140 to 147 area, I don't really see nobody really fading Shakur. That's just my personal opinion. And Shakur may possibly beat both of those guys. So, yeah, I mean, he might be the best fighter in the world in or around 140 pounds. So, great question. Yeah, sir. I hope I answered your question. But I think that's a great fight. I would say, it's probably like 60, I do like 65-35 Shakur. 60-40 maybe if y'all want to do that. 60-40 Shakur, 65-35 Shakur. But as a matter of fact, I want to say, I think 60-40 is appropriate for this situation. You know what I mean? I'm gonna put some respect on Gary's name because, like I said, with his speed, his explosiveness, his output, his conditioning, if Shakur is overwhelmed by, Gary, and Gary's able to keep him on the defense, he can outwork him. But like I said, Cepeda tried that, and we've seen Shakur really letting his hands go. And Shakur, he switched up the script a few times. Like I said, he was using that Philly shell. He was giving you some foot movement. You know what I mean? I seen him doing what I believe he's best at in controlling range and making you miss by a centimeter and coming back with sharp counters and shit like that. I think Shakur got too much in his toolbox for Gary. You feel me? So I think I got a 60-40 Shakur Stevenson. That's what I think. But it's a tough fight. And there's gonna be moments where they really start to shoot that shit out. There's gonna be some shootouts in that round. There's gonna be some shootouts in that fight for sure. But I just think that Shakur is a sharper fighter. I think he's the more intelligent fighter. I think he got a more diverse toolbox, and I don't think he'll have a problem with defeating Gary Antoine. Well, he might have some problems on the way to defeating Gary Antoine, but I think he beats Gary Antoine clearly. I'm gonna just say that. My boy Josue Hernandez in the building. Who you think beat Shakur in your opinion? Like I said, y'all, sir. I think the guys who have the best chance of doing it is Devin Haney and fucking Gervonta Davis. I feel like those are the only two guys that could really have a good chance at beating Shakur. I think anybody outside of that, I think it's an uphill battle for them. Like, Keyshawn, his brother, so they'll never fight. But I think Shakur is more intelligent than Keyshawn. I think Keyshawn will get very frustrated trying to keep up with Shakur. You know what I mean? He gonna be, trying to play chess, and Shakur gonna be watching them. They gonna know each other real well. So that might be a competitive fight, but I think Shakur is the better fighter than Keyshawn. Ryan Garcia, Tricks, you're trolling. You're trolling. You talking about somebody who got one punch in a toolbox. One punch in a toolbox, and then you got the best defensive fighter in boxing today in Shakur Stevenson. You think Ryan gonna land that left hook? Bro, one thing about Shakur, bro, what makes him dangerous outside of his skill set, that nigga watches everybody. What's dangerous about Shakur is that he's actually a boxing fan and he dissects everybody's style, and he has this clever competitive way of thinking where he's like, okay, I could beat him by doing X, Y, and Z. Like, Shakur is a fucking student. He's a student, man. You know what I'm saying? He's really a student. He be watching all these guys. He see what they capable of. And also, Shakur be going ahead and he be sparring these niggas. He be sparring half the niggas that he rumble. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's not going to take much for Shakur to really, process, Ryan's style, neutralize that left hook, and just punch on Ryan, man. Tricks, you sound like, I ain't gonna lie, Tricks. That's one of the most casual responses I've ever heard from you. I'm pretty disappointed with that response right there. That all it takes is one, bro. How often do you see one punch change the whole trajectory of a high level fight? How many defensive specialists done got put out by one shot? Did Pernell Whitaker get put out by one shot? Did Andre Ward get put out with one shot? Did Floyd Mayweather get put out with one shot? It's gonna take more than just one fucking shot to put out somebody like Shakur Stevenson. He ain't even put out Devin Haney with one shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ryan Garcia was knocking out a lot of these, up and coming dude like Romero Duno, Fonseca. Like, you knocked those guys out. Javier Fortuna, you know what I mean, who had no business fighting Ryan, to be honest with you. Like, you able to one punch them dudes. But you know what I mean? Like, with the guys who are actually defensively sound, you know what I mean, very experienced in them, what you completely leaving out is that Shakur cooked Ryan in the amateurs. Yes, it's the amateurs. You know what I mean? Yes, both guys have gotten better since then, but you know, Ryan's not as disciplined as Shakur Stevenson. He's not a student of the game like Shakur Stevenson. This dude, Ryan, clearly is more infatuated with being famous than he is being a boxer. He's more infatuated with being a streamer than being a boxer. And if you think that Ryan and Shakur is going to fight an extensive VADA test that won't be involved in these fights, you're crazy. And we've seen how the way he performed when he was under, you know, what they call it, like stringent 365 random blood and urine testing. And Ryan's cursed. Ryan is cursed for real. You know why, y'all? Because he's never gonna be able to get an elite level fight again against any of these big names unless he does that testing. Shakur already said it. Shakur was like, yo, you're gonna have to, you know what I mean? You if you rumble me, you're gonna have to do that 365 out of testing. Devin Haney saying the same shit. All these dudes already know what type time you on. They know what you get into. You feel what I'm saying? So Brian's gonna have to really fight these guys. You was able to get it off on Devin Haney the first time. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be able to get that shit off again. You're not gonna be, you know, cutting corners to try to have some unfair advantage over a fighter. That's different. Shout out to my boy Forever Runway, Fashion Line 448, always dropping the super chats in the motherfucking chat. He said, what fight you think Shakur was close to losing? I haven't seen a fight that he was ever close to losing. I think all of his wins have been pretty unanimous. I don't even know if Shakur has a split or majority draw on his record. I guess you could say the Cepeda fight. Cepeda gave him like the most amount of resistance and, you know, really made Shakur come outside of his primary self, I guess you would say, his primary style, and resort to, you know, getting into shootouts and, you know, really letting his hands go. Like Cepeda did a great job of, you know, bringing out a different type of fighter in Shakur. That lets you know how dangerous Cepeda is and how difficult of a style he is, because Shakur is that type dude that if he could beat you on first gear, he gonna do it. Yeah, I mean, unless he feel like you soft, he might go for the stoppage. But you know what I mean? If you a solid fighter or whatever, and he feels like he has to play it safe with you, if he could just beat you on first gear, he gonna do that. That motherfucker had to switch. He had to step it up multiple gears against Cepeda in order to get Cepeda's respect and actually win these rounds. But you know, the most resistance he's faced in his career was Cepeda. Sound like they fighting outside. My girl be making me go live in the room so she could fall asleep. She fell asleep already. So I'm gonna go ahead and look out this window, see what the fuck going on out here, because it sounds like they fighting. For those y'all who don't know, I live in a beautiful apartment, but across the street from my apartment is a bar. You know, wherever there's liquor involved, hands may possibly get thrown. So I've seen a lot of crazy shit. So I just heard a girl say she got beat the fuck up like last time. So a fight could have possibly happened. And she lost her phone. So that's basically what it is. Oh, you went to go see J. Cole? I did too. Where you from, Bethania? If you don't mind me asking. Yeah, he did 2 nights in Philly. I came out the first night. I was like, damn, he didn't really bring no Philly artists. He brought the bull Friday, but I was never really a big Friday fan. I mean, I don't really fuck with his music like that. But bro, the second night in Philly, this nigga brought out Beanie Siegel, my favorite Philly rapper of all time, and fucking Freeway, bro. I'm like, man, get the fuck out of here, bro. I was like, damn, but J. Cole did his thing though. Oh, you from Seattle? Shout out Seattle, man. Yo, that's actually where my girl wants to go. Like that's like on her bucket list. She wants to go to Seattle so bad. So shout out Seattle, man. I didn't even know that I didn't even know I had Seattle in the building. Bethania been from Seattle this whole time. I mean, what's y'all nickname? What y'all known for over there? It's the Emerald City. Okay. Yeah, Seattle looks like a beautiful city, man. So yeah, my girl has been wanting to go there for a long time. I might make it happen. No, I'm gonna definitely make it happen. It's just I gotta get some shit set in order before I go ahead and have all that the you know freedom to move around. You feel me? But his show was lit. J. Cole's show was lit, bro. Like he brought somebody on stage to sing the what is it, Johnny P's Caddy verse. On the night I was born, lightning struck. God was crying. Like, all that shit. Had them singing that shit on the stage, and you know what I mean? So that was lit. And prior to that, uh, prior to that, I didn't really listen to the album. That was the first J. Cole album that I was kind of not really rushing to really listen to because I was kind of disappointed in J. Cole, how the way he carried that whole Drake and Kendrick situation. Deleting his diss track off of, I don't want to get too much into it. We're gonna go back to boxing, but I was kind of disappointed. So I was like, I don't even want to listen to this shit no more, bro. But he got fired on that album. And it was like a few songs that like the song that really, what the hell is that joint called? I think it's called Poor Thing. That song was fire, bro. The way he performed that shit live, I was like, bro, I gotta listen to the album now. And it was a good thing that I did because he had a lot of bangers on there. But anyways, shout out Seattle, shout out to the boy Bethaniel. You know what I mean? J. Cole definitely got a following. He started his intro in the crowd. He probably did that in Seattle too. And bro, everybody in that section was going crazy, bro. They known for their continuous rain. Oh man. You should have hurt my feelings when Beanie got rocked by one of me. Yeah, that was a real chaotic time, bro. Like that was, that'd have been young Beanie, bro. Niggas probably would have been put on a t-shirt behind that. Like if anybody really know Beans, they heard about him in Philly, that would have never popped off back in his prime when he was actually, riding around with Tex and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it is what it is. It always be these young niggas is out of pocket. But somebody by the name of Kayvon says, as much as I want the Russell fight, if we get Raymond Moore to tire, I won't be mad. I mean, considering his momentum, you know what I mean, being a former world champion and shit like that, I wouldn't mind seeing the fight either. And, he's adamant about fighting Shakur Stevenson. So I would like to see exactly, what he feels like he could do, man. I guess he's very confident after that Andy Cruz victory. Andy Cruz is known for being like this, outboxer, this highly skilled outboxer from Cuba, gold medalist and all that. So maybe he like on his high horse right now. And he feels like he got the recipe to beat that, outboxer type of style. So maybe he's like, you know what, man, I could do that shit to Shakur too, blah, blah. I'm gonna put that pressure on him. I'm gonna let my hands go. He's probably confident in his team with Robert Garcia and them, and there's fighters, they after, a few good wins and shit, they feel like this aura of invincibility. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what Raymond's feeling right now. He's a confident individual overall. He cooked Robson Conce style. That's a common opponent that him and Shakur Stevenson have. And he's looking to move up to 140 because, his body ain't really responding to that weight cut how he used to. So, Raymond is a big guy for lightweight. I think at 140, that'll be a good weight for him to fill into as well. I think he could be a pretty good size junior welterweight. And, Shakur Stevenson, he's a pretty good size junior welterweight as well. Like I said, when he fought Tio, he looked like he was bigger than Tio. And Tio is at the weight significantly longer than Shakur. So I wouldn't mind seeing that fight, but the preference for me, in all honesty, is the Gary Antoine Russell fight, just off of the strength that they're both world champions. And I do want to see more unification fights, man. Like I want to see champion versus champion. You know what I mean? If Raymond Mordecai is the only option, like if Gary Antoine's really like, oh, I want to unify, but I don't want to fight right now. You know what I'm saying? These niggas all trying to play the waiting game. You know what I mean? These niggas think that they businessmen, they putting their business hat on. That's the problem, dog. Like a lot of these dudes not business savvy, and they try to carry it as if they businessmen. And it's like, bro, you hire businessmen around you for a reason. It's because you don't know the business. You feel me? So, you know what I mean? the opportunity presents itself. That's how you know these niggas be pump faking too, bro. Like they popping there like, oh, I'm the best champion here. I want to unify, blah, blah. But then you get an opportunity, then you start, you know what I mean, moving the goalposts. Like, oh, well, you know, I do want to save that. Like I just seen Teofimo Lopez on Inside the Ring with Max Kellerman, Shady, who else? I think Tim Bradley was on there. And he said, oh, you know, I'm willing to fight all of the champions. You know, I'll fight anybody next, you know, except Devin Haney. It's like, why? Why? Like, what the like? Why are you so hesitant in fighting Devin Haney? That his reasoning was, oh, because you know, when I was fighting Vasyl Lomachenko, you know, he got to bring up Lomachenko because that's like the highlight of his life. Oh, you know, when I fought Lomachenko, they was building it up. You know, ESPN was building it up as it being an undisputed fight. You know what I'm saying? And then after I got that undisputed, after I beat Lomachenko, I thought I was undisputed, but no, you know, there was everybody saying that I wasn't undisputed because you weren't. Because you weren't. So, you know, you want to wait for Devin Haney. You want to unify the division, or at least have both of you guys unify the division, then face each other at the end. So when you beat Devin Haney, you could say you undisputed. Cool story, bro. Cool fucking story. I don't buy that shit. You feel me? Like, I don't buy that shit. But, you know, I think it's more because, you know what I mean, you want to get a couple good wins before you run into Dev because, you know, there's a high probability that you'll get outboxed and get embarrassed in that motherfucker. Not only that, but you're probably hoping that, you know, Devin Haney fall off in his next few fights so you could probably take advantage of him, you know, when he's no longer himself. Because, you know, you never know when somebody's going to be on the decline, bro. Some people got you know, a long time in the game. They got, you know, they have longevity. Then you got others who have short primes. Devin's very disciplined. I'm under the, and you know, it hasn't really taken any punishment outside of the Ryan Garcia fight. So with that being said, you know, he may last a good amount of time, but at the same time, you never really know. You know what I mean? Yeah, anonymous. You catching on? You catch my drift, bro? He said T.O. and Gary saying the same shit. I want to fight him last. Yeah, and it's like, bro, y'all niggas, y'all. How you know you gonna be there when it's all said and done? See, this one niggas like it's the arrogance. It's really the arrogance of these motherfuckers, bro, because they just assume that they're gonna be champion within the next couple years. They just assume that they're gonna be the last one standing with that particular individual. You don't know that. That's very arrogant of you to think that that opportunity is gonna be there years down the line as if you can't be faded. That's ignorant. Like to me, you feel me? Like that's very arrogant and a very uneducated move, in my opinion. If the opportunity's there now and it's life-changing money, go after it. Teofimo Lopez was offered $8 million for Devin Haney back when they were back when he was at 140. He made every excuse in the book to not take the fight, bringing up people's religion. You know what I'm saying? Well, I forgot what the other reason it was. Oh, they promised me boots and they didn't give me boots. It was like all this bullshit. You feel me? But you agreed to terms, so that's how I know you're full of shit. He was trying to pull out every excuse possible. The reality is he don't like that style. He don't like that style. Nathaniel says when he was on a ring show, it sounded like T.O. wasn't too interested in fighting Catterall. He's not. He's not, bro. Like T.O. try to play it. He be trying to play this role like, you know what I mean, that he be willing to fight everybody. But bro, he said a lot more no's than yeses when it came to big fights. Don't let him fool you, bro. Don't let him fool you. Yeah, he fought Shakur. He ain't had no choice but to fight Shakur. You know what I mean? And he already had built an excuse for when he lost to Shakur. He already had the mindset that he was going to lose to Shakur. He didn't believe in himself in the lead up to that fight. Your dad was like, "Oh, that wasn't slick Gordo. You know, that wasn't slick Gordo, bro." Because first of all, he not going to be able to out slick a nigga like Shakur, who is a fucking defensive genius for one, in my opinion. Then on top of that, he's a sharp, accurate puncher that could fucking box. You know, and can be mobile whenever he wants to be. T.O. has always struggled with guys who've had those type of characteristics. So that's why he wasn't slick Gordo, because he couldn't be slick with a motherfucker like Shakur Stevenson. This is a bad style matchup. You know what I'm saying? And then I remember him saying in like face-to-face interviews with Shakur, oh, well, if he wins, you know what I'm saying? All he's gonna do is just, not give you guys the big fights. And Shakur was like, oh, so you think I'm gonna beat you? No, but bro, you already had the mindset. He already had bowed down on mentally. You feel me? Where do I think Shakur's next fight is at in terms of location? It's all dependent upon the opponent, brother. Like I couldn't really tell you. I guess they could look at doing it on the East Coast. New York has always been a great spot for Shakur, considering that Newark is right next to New York, New Jersey, of course. You obviously you could do Las Vegas as well. I see Shakur training over there at Floyd Mayweather's gym. They might fight. At the what they call that shit, that the UFC, like the Apex or whatever the case is. They might do it over there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't really tell you. I don't think Shakur has like a solid home just yet, so they could really put him anywhere, to be honest. But if I had to guess where his next fight is going to be at, Paul, probably Vegas. Maybe Vegas. If not Vegas, then somewhere on the East Coast. That's just my opinion. If they looking for like the most amount of tickets possible, if they looking to expand this brand, they probably throw him in Vegas. If they looking to get some good ticket money, they probably put it on the East Coast. You know what I mean? Damn, it's a lot of comments. My apologies, y'all. But I actually want y'all to watch this clip with me because this may give us like some hints as to who Shakur Stevenson is fighting. Now, Ring Magazine posted it, and shout out to them because they actually put some type of some subtitles in the video because I had a hard time hearing the video. But let me go ahead and play this shit. And then Shakur Stevenson, he actually posted the video on his official YouTube channel, so y'all can go check that out as well. He muted a lot of the shit that Floyd said because he was like, oh, this is gems. I can't give you all the game. And it was like, that's how I know, like, you're not really about this brotherhood shit, because if you was, you would be cool with giving out game, but you try to keep all the game to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You keep all the game to yourself for real. You don't really want to share it with nobody because you don't want nobody to be, steps ahead of you or had the information that you have. So I don't know, bro. Shakur, he's a weird individual in my opinion. But anyways, here's a clip that I'm referring to. Let's check it out. Come right over this, right over. Because he used to fight Orthodox. I used to fight Southpaw. So that little statement right there was pretty interesting to me. He said, you're used to fight, because he was talking about, oh, you can just go over his jab. Oh, yeah, easy work. You go over his jab. You're used to fighting orthodoxes, but you're not used to fighting southpaws. So what that tells me is Floyd is giving him jewels on how to approach a southpaw. That's what I get from that. Let's hear that one more time. Right over. Because he used to fight Orthodox. Then I used to fight Southpaw. You're used to fighting orthodoxes, but you're not used to fighting southpaws. So it sounded like Floyd was giving him some game on how to approach southpaws. Now, when we look over Shakur Stevenson's possible opponents, Oshaki's automatically out of the equation because he's about to fight Emmanuel Navarrete. So that's chalk. The WBO just gave Emmanuel Navarrete the green light to do a voluntary defense anyway. So shout out to the WBO for that, because that's a great fucking fight. So we could disregard Oshaki at this moment, unfortunately, because that would have been a great fight as well. If especially if it took place at 35, that would have been a great fight. But anyways, we have Rayo Venezuela, who Shakur Stevenson has downplayed multiple times recently. But one thing that we can't deny is that Rayo is a southpaw, right? So that leaves some possibilities there. You know what I'm saying? Rayo, 5'9", southpaw. That's Ryan. Now, another fighter, to my knowledge, who is a southpaw, is Gary Antoine Russell, right? Ain't Gary Antoine? Gary Antoine's a southpaw, right? Or I'm tripping. Or did I see him? Or is he a switch hitter? No, Gary's a southpaw. So, Tank, yeah, I mean, Tank is a southpaw, but, no, that's definitely not an option. I don't think Tank fights Shakur Stevenson, at least not this year. They're saying that he's not coming back till next year anyway, so it's definitely not it. But Gary Antoine Russell is a southpaw. Rayo Venezuela is a southpaw. There's reports out here suggesting that PBC and Zuffa might link up to do a Gary Antoine versus Shakur Stevenson fight. I don't know if that's true. Could very well be kept, but Rayo Venezuela is with Zuffa. Shakur Stevenson is with Zuffa. Is Zuffa trying to make that fight happen between these two guys right here? Former world champion at 140 versus a current champion at 140. Rayo coming off of a spectacular knockout win against Edwin De Los Santos, somebody that Shakur Stevenson had one of the worst performances of his career against, in my opinion. I think that's the fight that the Zuffa guys want, to be honest with you. I think that's the fight that they really want to lock in, at least for Shakur's first fight. But, Shakur Stevenson is somebody who, pretty much flexed on Rayo, act like that wasn't a fight that he wants, and basically he had bigger fish to fry. However, at this moment, them big fish are not around for you to fry. They're not. Gary's an option, but, Gary acting like he don't want to rumble you. T.O., he moved up. So that's, it's not like you go around, and you beat him anyway. So it's like, that's out the way. Oshaki, you're not fighting Oshaki after you said you were fighting him after beating Raymond Ford. He's about to fight Emmanuel Navarrete. Raymond Mortaya, that's an option. That's an option, but I don't know if Raymond Mortaya is going to come back after he just, later this year or within the next couple months, when he just fought Conceição like a month ago. I don't even know how long. No, that wasn't even a month ago. That was like 2-3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he's going to do a quick turnaround to fight you in October, November, or December this year. I don't know. So to be honest with you, it seems like the most realistic option for Shakur. And then, the Devin Haney situation. Devin Haney and y'all try to throw Keyshawn in the mix. Keyshawn, ended up doing what he did with Devin. So, Devin, he's looking to do a unification fight at 47. Trying to lock in Leon Paro. He's trying to lock in one of those guys. He's struggling to find an opponent. I don't think he's worried about going to 144 right now. So I think the most realistic option right now is Rayo Venezuela. Okay, Mio Perez says, stop looking for excuses for Shakur. There are plenty of options. Okay, then run down the options. If there's plenty of options for Shakur, present them. Simple. I don't got to make excuses for nobody. I'm not even a Shakur Stevenson fan. What I'm telling you is, when we're talking about the big fish, meaning the biggest possible fights that can happen for Shakur Stevenson in his career, Gervonta Davis not coming back by this year. Right? Devin Haney, he's campaigning at 147. He's looking to unify the division. That's out of the way. Gary Antoine says he wants to wait. Unless he changes his mind. That's what he said. Raymond Mortaya, I don't know if he's making a turnaround after doing a fight with Conceição. Maybe that's an option. I don't know. What are plenty of options for Shakur? So let's run down these options. Devin, no. That fell apart a little bit before the Keyshawn Davis purse bid. Devin Haney is looking at different options in the welterweight division. So is that an option? And maybe if Devin is willing to go down to 44, like what was spoken about before, maybe, but that's not a fight that's being spoken about right now. Norman's a welterweight. Shakur Stevenson has made it clear he's not going to welterweight anytime soon. So that's not an option. Keyshawn, you should know that's not a fucking option. You should know that that's not a fucking option. That nigga said that is his best friend. He loves him. He will never fight him unless they were given $500 million apiece. That's what they said. Oshaki, that's not an option. He's fighting Emmanuel Navarrete next. The WBO just gave Navarrete the green light to fight him. Mordetaya, maybe. If he's willing to do a quick turnaround. If he's willing to do a quick turnaround at the end of this year to fight Shakur when he just fought a couple weeks ago. Maybe. He said, oh, yeah, too small and brothers. That's what they said, not me. Don't come over here and criticize me for what they said. I hope you're not coming at me sideways for what they said. You need to go take that shit up with them if that's the case. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you put Keyshawn as an option, I'm questioning whether you really be watching boxing or not. You also mentioned Africa. Africa's at welterweight. Where have you been? He just fought at 147 on the Zuffa card not too long ago on Edgar Berlanga's undercard. Where have you been? It's funny that you say he has plenty of options, but fucking 3 out of the 5 guys that you mentioned, no, actually 1, 2, 3 out of the 5 options you named were welterweights. And Shakur has made it clear that he's not going to welterweight anytime soon. That's why he's trying to make these guys come down and wait and meet him in the middle. He said Shakur is side by side bigger than Crawford. Well, he's definitely not bigger than Crawford. You may be talking about height, but he's definitely not bigger than Bud. Bud was somebody who looked like a full-fledged super middleweight when he fought Canelo. I don't think Shakur is capable of doing that. But anyways, you just proved my point, Mia. You literally just you proved my point that there's not many big fish for Shakur to fry right now, so he might have to settle for Rayo. He might. Is it the best option? Absolutely not. But for this current situation, I wouldn't be mad at that fight. Unless Gary wants to step up. Bud versus Shakur at 40. Who you got? Woo-wee. Bud and Shakur at 40. Who you got? I got Bud. I think Bud's rank. I think Shakur is gonna have a tough time with that. And this is good. This is what's gonna be interesting about Shakur too. When he's trying to fight, when he's trying to keep that distance with somebody who has a longer reach than him. Bud got that. He got like a 74-inch reach, bro. I think he definitely got a long reach for his height. And Bud got a hell of a jab. He understands distance just as well as Shakur Stevenson. You know what I mean? I can see Shakur being very defensive. And, I can see Shakur having success in the early rounds with Bud. But when Bud start making them adjustments and start picking that pace up and, really bringing the fight to Shakur, I don't see. I think, yeah. And Bud was a fucking killer at 140. I got Bud. Bud more aggressive. He take more chances. Bigger puncher. You know what I mean? Rangier than Shakur. Bud probably would have whooped Shakur ass. I ain't gonna lie. Bud one of them dudes that, and I don't think Shakur got that power to discourage Bud neither. Man, he got good punch placement and shit like that, but Bud be seeing a lot. Bud got underrated defense too. Like he gets hit, obviously, but he don't really get hit with big shots all like that. Who's more a defensive wizard, Pernell or Shakur? If we're talking about like head movement, Pernell. Like Pernell had good head movement, and his defensive moves were like very athletic type of. He had like a very athletic type of defense. Shakur's defense really is him just understanding range. I think Pernell is more diverse defensively. Well, that's tough to say. Purnell's was more flashy. I think Shakur's was more efficient. So I can't really say who's more of a defensive wizard. I think they're both great defensively, but they just carry it differently. But Shakur got a little bit of Wilfred Benitez in him, where Benitez, they called him the radar. If y'all ever get the chance, bro, go watch Wilfred Benitez defensive highlights. They called him the radar because this motherfucker would not get hit, right? And he's lost. He's gotten stopped before shit like that. So he's been hit. But you get what I'm saying. Like Wilfred was the type motherfucker who would sit right in front of you and you throwing punches and you cannot hit this nigga. Shakur kind of puts me in that mind frame where, you know what I mean? He could stand directly in front of you and make you miss by a millimeter. You know what I mean? So that's what Shakur's defense reminds me of. Because for the most part, I've seen Shakur use his legs and be mobile and, lateral movement and all that. But a lot of the times when I've seen Shakur, especially like when he had great performances, he would stay in the pocket or he'll stay within an opponent's range and the opponent just can't touch him. You can't touch him, and Shakur will use minimal movement. Wilfred, he kind of reminds me of Wilfred in that way. They're not the same fighter, but you know what I'm saying? Like when it came to just sitting in the pocket and making you miss and not really doing too much with your legs, just you see the shots, you react, you make them miss, you make them pay. Like that's what Shakur puts me in the mind frame of. Not the same fighter, but they had that in common. Rocco, shout out to the boy Rocco in the building. He said Shakur said when he sparred Boots, he couldn't get away from Boots' jab, and he thinks may have had to take it easy on him. Well, I had people there, and I heard there was a fucking video. That's the crazy part. I ain't gonna get into how I know about that, but there was some person there. There was a person there that I knew that I was dealing with. If you know, you know. That used to be in the gym with Boots a while back, and that person used to record his sparring sessions. And bro, if I had that fucking video, I would go so viral. But apparently there was a clip of Boots sparring Shakur, and they said Boots was toying with that nigga. Like just playing with him. Like really wasn't going crazy on Shakur. But around that time, Shakur was fighting at 126. He was at 126. Shakur was still living in Newark at the time. He had, he was still, I think this was before he was world champion or at least got his first. It was either before his first world title or a little after his first title. But regardless, he still had his Dodge Challenger. I think that was the first car he got when he signed with Top Rank. And he used to ride the Philly by himself. I don't know if he would bring his coach, but I know the one time he came by himself and he would just spar. Sparred a lot of people out of Boots' gym. You know what I'm saying? And I heard with that Boots sparring, Boots was just playing with him. Shakur gives you a winky right, especially when he displays the high guard. I think Winky's bread and butter was the high guard. Shakur may use it, but I don't think he used it as consistently as Winky. Like, who's somebody who uses the high guard pretty? Like, if there was one person who uses the high guard pretty well in boxing today, it's probably Benavidez. You know what I mean? Benavidez got a good high guard. Who else? It's not many people that really fuck with the high guard all like that. Floyd used to, whenever Floyd would get rocked, he'll use a high guard. Like when Pacquiao landed that nice little counter, boom. and he stumbled back a little bit, and Pacquiao came in with like a 10-punch combination. Floyd just took everything on the high guard. Canelo does have a good high guard. That's true. That's true, Des. Shout out to Canelo. He got a good high guard. Did Boots ever spar a Tank? Hell no. Hell no. Boots would have beat the shit out of little ass Tank. Can't be doing like Tank be getting tired and shit. Like y'all niggas, y'all ain't never heard, bro. I used to hear about sparring shit with Tank where like he'll punch on a nigga, right? Or he'd be looking sharp and all that. Then the nigga would just break down. Like Tank always getting tired. Anonymous said Cabello. Cabello, I ain't gonna lie. Cabello high guard ass, bro. When I seen that last fight he had out in his home country, bro, that nigga was hitting him with everything. Everything. I'm like, yo, this nigga Cabello got a fucking chin, bro. He had his guard up, boy, punching inside his guard, punching Cabello all upside his head. This nigga Cabello started putting that shit on him, though. Bang, 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 bang. So Cabello, I gotta watch a little bit more of him, but I've seen a few fights. Cabello gets hit super clean. It's just that this nigga got a chin and he's tough as fuck mentally. So he's gonna break a lot of dudes just based off that. But if Cabello get in there with a nigga who can ring his bell, ooh, Cabello gonna be in trouble. A nigga with hand speed to give Cabello issues, like a Moses Atama. But Cabello giving a lot of niggas gas at heavyweight. I ain't gonna lie. Man, that boy, that tall motherfucker. The one that's about to fight Andy Ruiz, actually. Andy better be ready for that nigga. I mean, he with Robles and shit like that, man. I got a lot of trust in Manny Robles. You feel me? I think he's one of the best coaches in boxing. So I know he gonna have Andy ready. But that boy ain't no joke, bro. That boy could fight. I remember when he knocked out Joey DeWaco from Philly and shit. I had my eye on that nigga since then. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. That's why I'm not trying to say his name. Y'all can look it up. Josue says, yo, Mazuma, thoughts on Moses versus Herkovich on Saturday. Herkovich is serious, man. Herkovich is serious. Look like Moses is locked in too. But like Moses don't really seem phased by Herkovich. So I hope it's not like an underestimating thing. I hope it's just confidence in himself. I hope he's training hard. You know what I mean? Moses is one of my favorite upcoming guys in boxing today. I actually got him number 5 at favorite fighters of mine, actively. You know what I mean? He's right below Abdullah Mason. But if he's able to be himself, you know what I mean? Those level changes, the feints, you know what I mean? The accurate punches, the speed, the combinations, he could do it, bro. He could stop Herkovich. He can. But he can't get reckless in there. He can't be in there acting a fool. I think he beats the shit out of Herkovich if he's on, in his bag, bro. That speed and that fucking the counter punching, and he got good power too, bro. He moved the nigga. He be carrying it like he a fucking like a 154, like a 160. Like he twitchy too, man. I like Moses, man. I do. I can't. Like he's a bad. He passes the eye test for me. He passes the eye test for me, but you know what I mean? I could see shit and think shit all I want. He got to go prove it. You got to go prove it. It says Zhang was beating the shit out of Cabello until he broke him up. I wouldn't say beating the shit out of him. He was hitting Cabello clean, but Cabello, he was never phased, and then he got dropped by Zhang. But the thing about Zhang is he got all the power in the world, especially in that right hook. Got a lot of power on the right hook. He got a strong straight left hand too, but he gets tired. You can't get tired against a nigga like Cabello, especially when he punches you to the fucking body how the way he is. You know what I mean? Zhang just got that Zhang kind of like Butterbean. That nigga like a 4-round fighter. For real. I don't know what's up with that nigga. But yeah, Caballero would have beat Zhang every time, bro. Cause Zhang, that motherfucker, he be boxing like he just got off the couch. I'm like, nigga, this you? Like, what's your training camp like if you getting tired that fast? Like, nigga, do you run? Do your old ass run? I don't know, man. Who is not his brother or not at his level? We talk. Oh, you still talking about Shakur? Look, man. Like I said, I don't think Contrary to what you said, Mio, I don't think he has plenty of options. I think his options are very limited at this point. It might change. The options change according to the time frame. Like if we're talking at this very moment, it is currently August 27th, right? At this current moment, his options are limited. He doesn't have a whole bunch of options. He doesn't. You know what I mean? So it's looking like it's probably going to be Rayo Venezuela, or they're saying Gary Antoine. I guess let's put Gary Antoine up there as a possibility. I doubt it, but Rayo, Antoine, and maybe a Mortataya. But you know what I mean? That's just three options, and they're all maybes. He just need to go ahead and fight Rayo, bro. Fight Rayo. Beat Rayo, man. He want the smoke too. He talking crazy. Go beat him. Jack Red's in the building. Not trying to sound dumb, but is Shakur style something you can learn, or is something you have to be born with? That's not a dumb question at all, brother. That's actually a great question. Um, I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's certain things about Shakur that you could teach, because when you look at the guys that are underneath him, they actually do similar things to Shakur. So some of the shit that he does is coachable. You know what I mean? That shit that could be, installed in your game by your coach. Absolutely. Especially like the shot selection from Shakur. Punch placement could always be taught. Even being defensively responsible can be taught as well. I think what he has that's not teachable is his reflexes. Like I think it's his reflexes, his eyes, bro. I don't think you could teach eyes. Like you could sharpen your eyes and shit, but it's like levels to that shit. Like there's motherfuckers who throughout camp their eyes get sharper, they start seeing shots better. But there's motherfuckers that basically like Floyd said that they told this nigga Floyd, like, bro, how are you so good defensively? He's like, bro, like I could feel it. Like before they throw it, I can feel the shot. And bro, that's just what Floyd had, was just God gifted ability. And I see that same quality in Shakur. It's like, bro, the motherfucker reacts before the shot even comes out. Like it's crazy. So I think there's some things that could be taught, but when you're God gifted, that's just some shit you got in you, bro. You got good fighters, you got great fighters, and you got God gifted. There's some great fighters that have learned along the way to be defensively sound and be defensive specialists, but then you got like all-time great defensive fighters, like I said, like Floyd Mayweather, like Pernell, and I think Shakur is up there with them. I'm not gonna lie, man. Who's the best one defensively out of all of them? That's debatable. But like I think he's a God gifted defensive specialist. That's me. He has pattern recognition. Yeah, but I think pattern recognition is what comes with experience, Tricks. I think that, and that's why I always tell my guys, like, yo, you may be able to get away with that flaw or that combination with an inexperienced guy, but with that defensive flaw you got with an experienced guy, they're gonna take advantage of that. Just being around, being in the game, learning from each and every fight. These very experienced fighters can make you pay for dropping that lead hand, from you dropping that dropping that backhand. You know what I'm saying? Keeping the body open. Little shit like that. You're not bringing your hand back after you slip a shot. experienced guys are going to be able to pick up on those little flaws and then make the right move necessary to make you pay for having that flaw. So I think pattern recognition isn't necessarily a God gifted quality. I think it's something that you just get better at as you get more experience in your craft. Kayvon said, did y'all peep at the T.O. Shakur press conference? T.O. bought his fist. Shakur noticed it, but he was looking T.O. in the eyes. Yeah, that's what you call, what's that called? Like peripheral vision? Like I said, like the eyes, bro. He looked right there. And I remember he looked down at the fist. Do y'all remember when Wallow was trying to show Shakur some shit and he tried to sneak Shakur with a little shot and Shakur just grabbed his hand? You ever seen that shit? Shakur got great fucking eyes, bro. And like I said, that's some shit that you could sharpen in camp. But, Shakur got the type of eyes where it's like, it's not like some shit. It's not some shit that you could teach, basically. You know what I mean? Let me pull that shit up on YouTube. It was two different responses. I'm going to show you Shakur's response and I'm going to show y'all Boot's response. Check this shit out. There you go. I found it. This nigga said, T said, turn it into baby money. That was kind of Joe. In Philly, you call that shit Joe. Like, he dicky in a little bit, but, you know what I mean? I guess that's his idol, bro. I don't know. But check this shit out right here. I step over. Beef ribs. Man, no, that's beef ribs. That's beef ribs. Ain't no motherfucking little kids. That's what little kids do. No, that's a lot of boxers do that. Little kids. That's beef ribs. I'm gonna get. We need to go another one right here. Right. I step over. Oh, that's not it. That's not it. That was after. Hold on.
No, look. You ain't got to play defense. So when you throw the jab, go ahead. Swing. No.
Oh, you see that?
I'm trying to show him
that nigga defense so weird. What you was gonna do? That nigga said, wait.
You ain't got to do all that. No, look. You ain't got to play defense. So when you throw the jab, go ahead.
He said you ain't got to play defense. See how Shakur just grabbed his hand? He ain't even look at the shot. He just knew it was coming there. He just automatically grabbed it. That was his muscle memory. So I guess that's just repetition. But at the same time, bro, like there's just like he didn't even look at the hand. How the fuck he seen that shit? His eyes like he didn't even look down at it. You feel me? That's from fucking years upon years of training and just going over defensive shit along with some God-given ability in terms of just good fucking instinct and vision, bro. Like that's what it gotta be, bro. Because you could be great defensively. Somebody could throw a little awkward shot at you like that and you don't even see the shit. Now, I remember when Boots did a similar, Wallow tried a similar thing on Boots and Boots responded offensively. So that goes to show you the difference between a guy, like stylistically, between, oh, look, they actually got a comparison right here. Look. So Boots throws the jab. Yeah, he did him dirty as shit. So this shows you the difference between Boots and Shakur. Boots is finding, he's showing you defense, but he's making you pay with his offense off of the defense, right? Then you just got Shakur, who just did a defensive move and they make Wallow pay whatsoever. So it's somebody who's big, who has good offense, but is bigger on defense. And then you got somebody like Boots who has solid defense, but he's much more into making you pay with his offense. So Wallow threw that shit. He tried to take himself off the line, ran right into the right hand. And then Boots, Shakur just caught the shit. Like, nigga, you ain't getting that shit off. So it's interesting how these dudes react in different ways, but still have success. Boots shit is hilarious, though, bro, because he really did just run straight into the right hand, though. But I want to actually find that whole clip. Let me see. Where is that clip at? Right here.
I'm gonna move real quick on camera. I don't want y'all to take this move now. I appreciate this. Now, when the fighter is coming, no, I see. I'm picking. Now, Pete. And when you throw that jab. See, there's two type of ways. When you throw the jab again. Woo! You see, ho. You got hit right here. You supposed to throw that. That wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't know he was gone. I didn't know he was throwing that. I was trying to execute my training. He wasn't supposed to. I'm just saying he wasn't supposed to throw that.
I was trying to execute my training. Yeah, that nigga Wallow, bro. He funny, man. I like Wallow. That's a funny motherfucker right there. But yeah, like that was a layup. I don't know why the fuck he would do that. But Benavidez would have caught that shit on the high guard and threw a 20-piece right down the pipe. Yeah, that's exactly what he would have did, Teach. He'd have caught that shit on the high guard and go, hey, he'd have fucking put Wallow in a fucking body bag. Hey, I'm gonna just say your name is Hey. I'm not about to say that whole name. A random question, but me and my boy was having a debate about Andre Ward. Do you think he's as great as everyone makes out? I could tell based off of that question that you don't think much of Andre Ward. Let me tell you this. When you look over his entire catalog, Andre Ward is an all-time great fighter. I think that because, first of all, a lot of y'all wasn't watching boxing around the time that Andre Ward was dominating the super middleweight division. I think that y'all really sleep on this man's resume. When you look over Andre Ward's catalog and who he's fought against a lot of top guys in his division. He did the Super 6 series and he actually won that. And that's one of the most difficult tournaments to win because, for one, you can't play matchmaker in that joint. You can't cherry pick. You have to fight the best available competition. So when you look at Andre Ward's accolades, and I could go ahead and run through a few of the names because I'm not going to be able to say all of them off the top. Let me find this shit real quick. Andre Ward didn't have like those big notable ass names that, you know what I mean, like a Floyd, like he ain't had a Cottos, but respectfully, you know, the weight class that he was in didn't have like those pay-per-view star type of names. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have a Pacquiao, he didn't have a De La Hoya, he didn't have a Cotto, he didn't have a Canelo. But Andre Ward had great competition in his weight class that he dominated time and time again. So obviously, when you look over his catalog, you got to go with Sergey Kovalev. Sergey Kovalev was a top pound-for-pound fighter at the time that Andre Ward fought him. First fight, controversial. You could swing that either way, to be honest with you. And then in the second fight, you know, his retirement fight, basically, he stopped Sergey Kovalev. Pretty much ruined Sergey Kovalev. I don't think he was ever the same. I don't think he was able to get that aura back since that fight. Then, of course, you got Carl Froch. You know what I'm saying? I think that was one of the biggest wins of his career. You know what I mean? Just considering that, you know, I think at that time, Carl Froch was undefeated in the Super 6 tournament. And for real, I think Carl Froch is a future Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? One of the other ones that remind me, one of the other ones that comes off the top of my head is Mikkel Kessler. You know what I mean? Mikkel Kessler, you know what I mean? He was an elite fucking champion at 168. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give him credit for that win as well. I'm not going to go through everybody's resume, but, you know, one of the guys, he just did an interview recently, Chad Dawson. Chad Dawson came down from 175. He really ain't belong at 168, but at the time that he literally fought Andre Ward, he was the reigning lineal light heavyweight champion. You know what I'm saying? Beat Antonio Tarver, beat Bernard Hopkins. You know what I'm saying? Beat a whole bunch of people. Glenn Johnson. Like, Chad Dawson was the fucking truth. You feel me? Yasir says Arthur Abraham. Yep, Arthur Abraham is on that list. Arthur Abraham, champion. Sakio Bika, champion. Sullivan Barrera was a top contender at 175 at the time that Andre Ward beat him. So he retired undefeated, 32-0. You know, he was an Olympic gold medalist. He won the Super 6. He unified every division that he was in. You feel what I'm saying? He retired pound for pound number one. At least he was pound for pound number one on my list. You know what I'm saying? So for Andre Ward is a first ballot Hall of Famer, bro. You know what I mean? He defeated elite champion after elite champion. He proved to be the best in every weight class that he competed in. 2-division world champion, bro. And yes, did he retire early? Yes, but one of the thing, this the thing with me, bro. And this is why I respect Andre Ward so much, because Andre Ward didn't fake it. This is somebody who knew that it was time to hang up the gloves, despite, only having 32 fights. He accomplished a lot in those 32 fights. You feel me? I wanted to see Andre Ward go undisputed and fight Adonis Stevenson. I was begging for that fight, but, Adonis Stevenson's team always seemed to have trouble making big fights happen. I don't know. They might have been on some Virgil Ortiz shit, just being unrealistic in negotiations, being greedy, and the fight was never able to be made. I remember Sergey Kovalev was chasing that fight with Adonis and couldn't make it happen for whatever reason. Andre Ward, I think they try to make the fight, and Andre Ward was like, oh, well, like he's scared to come outside, and he said some shit like that. But he retired. Did he retire early? Yes. Could he have done more work? Yes. But I think with what he did within those 32 fights, I think is Hall of Fame worthy. I think Andre Ward is a great fucking fighter. Very skilled, well-rounded. You know what I mean? Great, one of the fucking best jabs of his era, to be honest with you. Good combinations, technically sound, defensively responsible, durable, good chin, battle tested. You feel me? Like Andre Ward is, and what's crazy was he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the biggest puncher. You know what I'm saying? I think like half of his wins, I think he only had like 16 KOs or some shit like that. But, regardless, Andre Ward gave you the knockouts of some of the biggest wins of his career, ended in knockouts. He knocked out Chad Dawson. He knocked out Sergey Kovalev. You know what I mean? Some of the biggest wins of his career came by knockouts, though. He got knockouts when it mattered. And I'm sure I didn't even mention all of the good fighters that he fought. I probably missed a few. But to answer your question, Hayes says Ward versus Calzaghe in a prime, who wins? That's a tough fucking fight because Calzaghe was somebody. And, I'm going to apologize to Joe Calzaghe because I was one of them dudes who really didn't put respect on his name. Granted, I do think that he has fought, some of the biggest wins of his career was guys who were past their prime, in my opinion. Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones. I don't think he fought the best versions of those guys. But, he beat, Chris Eubank and all of that shit. Joe Calzaghe had a pretty good resume, to be honest, and he retired undefeated as well. I think that Andre Ward would have gave Calzaghe a lot of fits because I don't think Andre Ward would have sat there and allowed Calzaghe to get off the volume that he's usually accustomed to getting off on certain guys. You know what I mean? Calzaghe had a lot of success with motherfuckers who stood there and was a target for his combination punching. I think that Andre Ward would have gave him some. I think he would have kept, Calzaghe turning. I think he would have kept that jab on him. I think his inside game, he probably would have had a lot of success with Calzaghe on the inside. But then again, he probably would have wanted to avoid the inside game just due to Calzaghe's volume. I think that if Ward fought a disciplined game plan, stood moving, kept Calzaghe from, establishing his offense and running them into shots and basically making it a boring fight, I could see Andre Ward pulling off a unanimous decision win. Andre Ward was never like a volume type of guy. He threw sharp shots. He was pretty efficient with his punches. So I don't see Andre Ward sitting in the pocket with Calzaghe because Calzaghe probably would have outworked him. And I don't know if Andre Ward had the power to keep, Calzaghe honest. So it all depends upon Andre Ward's approach because we know what type time, Calzaghe is going to come out with. If Andre Ward tries to bring the fight to Calzaghe and push him back, he might get outworked and get outpointed on the scorecards. If, Andre Ward fights a smart, disciplined fight where, he's constantly turning Calzaghe, pot shotting him, keeping that jab in his face, I think he can outbox Calzaghe, but that's an interesting style matchup. My boy Trick said Andre Ward said that Benavidez would have gave him trouble. I mean, he would have. That's not to say that he would have beat Andre Ward, but it's a tough style, bro. You got to look at David Benavidez. First of all, he's a big-ass super middleweight who fights comfortably at cruiserweight. This a nigga, when he was a kid, was 240, 250 pounds at 14 years old. Like, this is somebody who, you know, is a big fucking guy that boiled down into the smaller weights, right? So then you got to take that into consideration. He's a big-ass 168. Not only that, he's a tall, rangy 168. And this is also somebody who has lightning fast fucking hands, right? He could throw every fucking punch well. He has, he's very aggressive. His conditioning is out this fucking world. This dude don't stop throwing punches and he don't get tired. And he got really good punching power. And this is somebody who may rehydrate 25, 30 pounds the day of the weigh-in. I mean, the day of the fight. And be fast, explosive, powerful, relentless. That's a tough style to deal with. Andre Ward probably would outbox Benavidez. So I can see Ward stabbing Benavidez to the body, trying to break his conditioning down and shit like that. You know what I mean? I can see that. But yeah, that is a tough style. But let's make this very clear. Even if you beat Benavidez, he's still gonna give you a tough ass fight. Nigga, tough as nails, too. He's nigga tough as nails. So that's another thing you gotta deal with. Bivol? What about Bivol? Well, what are you saying about Bivol, Mio? My boy Teach in the building, he says, so there was a topic on another channel and I want to know your opinion. Is Crafty and Slick the same thing or are they different? I don't believe they are the same thing. What say you? Teach, they're different. You know what I mean? Slick is when, when you're elusive. You know what I mean? When you're slick, you know what I mean? You can make motherfuckers miss and you could be, you just hard to touch. You're slippery. You know what I mean? That's what I perceive a fighter when they're considered slick. I find it funny that they call a lot of these black fighters, when they try to, how they associate Mexicans with being flat-footed? They associate black fighters with being slick. Not every black fighter is slick. Like, I'll give you an example, right? Like, Boots is slick, right? Boots is slick. Meaning, like, whenever he gets in that mode, he could slip slide and he could be very elusive and hard to hit. Like, when I think of slick, I think of an elusive motherfucker, bro. Right? Then you got black fighters like Brian Norman. I don't think he's slick at all. I think he's athletic. I think he's explosive. I think he's powerful, but he's not slick. But they always seem to associate black fighters with being slick. Slick is not a general term for the black fighter. Rocco, this is beautiful. You beat me, bro. Rocco beat me to the punch. I don't even feel like I should explain this no more. But I'm going to say it anyway. Rocco McBride says James Toney slick, Bernard Hopkins was crafty. Right. Now, that's what I perceive to being that's my interpretation of somebody who is slick. Let me go ahead and bring that question right back up. You could be both, but they're not the same in my opinion, right? Now, crafty means like intelligent. That means like well-versed to me. Like, crafty is somebody who has tricks up their sleeve, right? So when I think of crafty, to me, it's Bernard Hopkins. I think he's like the most one of the best examples of being crafty. I think Floyd Mayweather was very crafty as well. I think, like, Andre Ward did an interview with Fight Hype and he was talking about all of the crafty shit that Floyd would do. You know what I'm saying? Like, Floyd could make you feel, and Floyd was so crafty, bro, that this nigga would do the bare minimum in a round. But because he's doing certain things in the ring, he's making you feel like he's being active whole time. He ain't doing shit, and he would win the fucking round. He'll feint you, jab to the body. You know what I'm saying? He'll walk, he'll take you for a walk around the ring, jab you up top, feint you, jab you up top. You know what I mean? If you get a little close, he might, then he might do that little pull counter, roll out, you know what I'm saying? Go for a little walk again. And the whole time, he probably throw 10, 12 punches in the round. But because he stood active the whole time and was giving you the impression that he was staying active, you thinking that you getting a full-on performance from Floyd. Whole time, he might have just took that round off. Crafty to me is somebody who's tricky. You know what I mean? They got tricks up their sleeve. They got a whole lot of like little little wrinkles in their game that they like that they bring out at times. Like Bernard was crafty in terms of, he could get very physical with you on the inside. You know what I mean? He might throw a little shot. He might hit you on the hip. Shit, he might even hit you with a little headbutt or whatever. Like he'll do little things in the ring that could really frustrate you. You know what I mean? And throw you off of your game. Would you say Crawford is crafty? Crafty? I don't know if that's how you describe Bud. I'm sure he showcased things in the ring to like show that he's crafty. I just think that Bud was very skilled and a fucking dog. Bud was very intelligent and very skilled. So the IQ was there, the skill was there, but like crafty, I don't know if that's how you describe Bud. But Bernard Hopkins is the first person that comes to mind. It's so funny that he said that. Like for instance, like Floyd was a type bull where he'll do little shit, like he'll bend the rules, like he'll use that forearm. He'll use that forearm to hold your arms in place, and he go ahead. You know what I mean? He put that forearm up, touch you to the body. You know what I'm saying? He'll hold you and take some deep breaths. You know what I'm saying? While you in the ring with him, so he can go ahead and get his win back. You know what I mean? So he can carry it out through the round. I remember Andre Ward broke it down, bro. Andre Berto broke it down. I'm not saying that Bud isn't crafty. I just wouldn't make that like, I wouldn't use that as like one of the ways to describe him. I'm sure he is crafty. As experienced as he is, I'm sure he got some, little sneaky things up his sleeve and shit like that. But I don't think that's what makes him Bud Crawford. You feel me? Like, that's just me. Mark too sharp. Ooh-wee. Yep, Floyd would cover your mouth and nose with his gloves and the clinch so you couldn't breathe. See, that's crafty shit to me. Like I said, I don't look at, like, Bud isn't somebody who jump off the page to me when you're talking about crafty fighters. I'm sure he is crafty. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't say that's like the biggest wrinkle in his game. What do I consider Dev? I don't really consider Dev to be slick. I think that Dev, how you describe Dev? Dev is an athletic outboxer. I think he's an athletic, intelligent outboxer with very good foot and hand speed. Fury low-key is. Boots has crafty offensive moves. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. That motherfucker stop a punch mid-transit and throw some hot shit right behind that. So you think he about to shoot that straight left hand, he'll pause that motherfucker. That's what he hurt Xander with. He acted like he was gonna throw that straight left hand, stopped it mid-flight, and then threw the uppercut right behind that John. I was like, God damn, that nigga. Yeah, Boots is very crafty, offensively for sure. Lamont Roach slick. He showed it in the Tank fight. He was rolling and catching and all that shit. Yeah, he can be slick. I don't think he was very slick in the Cepeda fight. But in that Tank fight, when they started getting warmed up and they started shooting that shit out, and they was in the center of the ring, he definitely showed some slickness. Rocco said, Dev is good at mostly everything, but nothing really pops out as great. To me, what pops out the Dev being great is his jab. I think Dev has a great fucking jab. If there's nothing great about Dev, is his jab. Also, his hand speed is very underrated in my opinion. Both hands, especially when he punching combinations. And then he has great foot speed as well. Those are all huge, valuable weapons to have in the arsenal. Nigga said Cepeda was juice. We cannot make those accusations here, brother. We do not have definitive proof. And I will never say that because, you know, lawyers could get involved. So you should. That's what you call defamation of character. And I'm cool, bro. I don't want no problems. Unless you definitively got caught doing it, I would not say it. I can be suspicious about some shit. I can raise my eyebrow on some rock shit, but I'm not gonna say that definitively. Not over here. Do I think Haney beats Tank? I think it's a tough fight, to be honest. I mean, the reality is, I don't think that, it's not a reality, it's my opinion. It may very well become reality, but I don't think that fight's gonna happen, y'all. I don't want to burst nobody's bubble or kill anybody's optimism, but I don't think that's a fight that'll ever happen, man. I think Devin is to the point now where he not really worried about Tank. I think if anybody gets the Tank fight, it'll be Shakur, just because Shakur is gonna stick around longer. You know what I mean? You know who was slick too? You know who was crafty than a motherfucker too, bro? Motherfucking damn, what the fuck? Cotto was crafty, bro. Cotto was crafty, bro. I was watching that nigga. I was watching Cotto when he fought Canelo. And Cotto showed some shit that I never seen him do before. That nigga did the George Foreman motherfucking cross block. Then came off with a nice little counter on Canelo. I said, this nigga Cotto a fucking vet. I said, that was so fucking good. Nigga said, that nigga Canelo threw some shit. I think he threw like a 1-2. They caught that shit like that. Nigga said, boom, they can't boom, boom. I was like, what? I was like, that's some crafty veteran shit right there, bro. Coaches do not teach that shit no more. I remember when George Foreman was doing that shit. Duran was slick. Shakur called Rigondeaux boring. You got some motherfucking nerve to call a nigga boring. Now, Guillermo was both crafty and slick. Prime Guillermo Rigondeaux was crafty and slick. I'll never forget that one clip, bro. This nigga Guillermo had mind control over his opponent. This nigga he measured with the backhand. This nigga measured with the backhand, right? The bull like, what the fuck he doing? Right? So the bull sees him measuring with that backhand. He was like, oh, I got him. Nigga jumped in. The nigga jumped in. Guillermo just lined him with the right hook. Beep! He went southpaw. So he here. He measuring. He measuring. He measuring. The boy like, what the fuck he doing? He go to step in to throw a punch. Bing! Sock the shit out that nigga, bro. I was like, damn. Would Marquez be considered crafty? Marquez will pop out the, and I'm sure, like I said, I think a lot of these veterans, should be given credit for, to an extent for being like, having some craft in their game and shit like that. But Marquez, what jumped out to me about Marquez was his heart, bro. That nigga and his counterpunching ability. Ooh wee. Marquez is a nasty counterpuncher, bro. It was that nigga had a chin. I don't think Marquez ever been stopped in his career, bro. Despite all his losses, I don't think he ever been stopped. Hit the canvas multiple times, always got up and gave niggas gas, or at least tried to. Who has the best chin in boxing? It's between Tank and Canelo. I'm definitely not giving best chin to Tank, but Canelo's up there. I was just talking about. I think Cabello got a hell of a chin. Cabello. Canelo might be that guy. I think Crawford was real close to knocking Canelo fucking block off though in that one round. I think it was like the 9th round. But Crawford was just missing by a little bit. Man, that'd have been crazy to see. Got a good chin. Sasaki said no. Fucking around. Shocking. No, you said Chris Bird should get some credit too. Are we talking about the crafty aspect? Because I can see that. My dad put me on to Chris Bird. I watch a little bit more though. Nigga, Joe Joyce had a great chin until Zhang fucked him up. Sue Burrell had a good chin until fucking Dalton put him off. We gonna see now. We gonna see exactly what Sue Burrell made of. And now everybody think he fooled. Now Verate is crafty. I don't think he crafty. I just think he unorthodox. I think he awkward. Said Bivol got a better chin than both of them. Bivol, I'm saying better be hit him with some hot shit. So he definitely got something. Shit, better be got a chin too. Nigga, Shane Mosley Jr. got a chin. God damn, just like his dad. I watched Jesus Ramos beat the shit out of Shane. God damn. No, Devin Haney definitely got slickness. But I think Devin Haney, and I could be wrong, but I think Devin Haney's defense is heavily reliant on his legs. You know what I mean? And his athleticism. Like, I don't think his eyes as good as like a Shakur Stevenson defensively and shit like that. And Billy, yeah, Billy's a good one. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And Billy gonna be a tough fight for Canelo, man. Y'all niggas, y'all sleeping on that. Canelo's crafty, yes, he is. I seen Canelo do some shit one time. I forgot what fight it was. Like him punching that Callum Smith arms and then him tearing his bicep. That was some crafty shit because niggas don't even punch the arms. Then I seen him do some shit where Canelo was on the inside with some dude, and the dude had his hands in like this, and with Canelo literally went inside his arms and opened it up. Like he opened a nigga arms up and ripped body shot. But I think that's when he was young. He was at 154 at the time. But yeah. Sway said, peep my last comment. He said, yo, MAZUMA, if Crawford knocked out Canelo, I guarantee you Canelo would have retired that same night. He probably would have. That shit would have killed his fucking ego for sure because, one thing about Mexicans, bro, they take pride in having chins. You feel me? So he'd have got his chin cracked against a nigga who moved up 2 weight classes to fight him. After he done fought big-ass punchers like Triple G, Cotto, and all them motherfuckers, Daniel Jacobs. You let that little nigga put you out, that shit probably would have killed all his confidence for real. So I don't think he's wrong at all. He probably would have definitely, if he would have never retired, he probably would have thought about it. For sure. Boo's uppercut on Lima was fucking crazy. Yeah, that was just some. Boo's got away with that shit because he just a gifted fighter. I know a motherfucker like me wouldn't have gotten away with that shit. I know that. That nigga Lima would have punched me right inside my motherfucking head. Like I had good athleticism when I was boxing, but I was a good athlete. I wasn't a great athlete or a God-gifted athlete. You know what I'm saying? I'd have never got away with that shit. That nigga Lima would have countered the fuck out of me. I'd have fell over my foot like that and come up with the uppercut. I'd have missed like shit. Boots get hit a lot because he stay in the pocket, but I respect it. I don't think he get hit as much as y'all claim he do. Like, it's just crazy because I don't ever hear y'all criticize niggas. Like, I don't hear nobody saying, oh, T.O. ain't got no defense. They got hurt twice. How many people y'all here saying, man, T.O. got to work on his defense, man? You don't hear nobody saying that. Thoughts on Espinoza training with Eddie Reynoso? If that's his coach, then, I don't really know what to think about that. I mean, that's good. I guess that's his choice. That's his new coach. No. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do to help improve his game. I don't really got no thoughts on that, though. It seemed like the popular thing to do if you're a Mexican is to go to Eddie Reynoso. And I get it. Canelo is the face of Mexico boxing. So if you're a Mexican fighter, you want to see how he was able to accomplish that. So you go train with him and shit like that. But one thing I noticed is that dudes who usually train with Eddie Reynoso don't usually be there too long. I noticed that. They probably notice, oh, the grass ain't greener over here, and they just go back to where they was or just go somewhere else. The PED factory is hilarious, brother. Trick said, did you see that sparring picture between Canelo and Amari Jones? I think Canelo got beat up. I mean, I don't know. I did see the picture, though. I salute Canelo, though, because one thing about him, he going to get some good work. He going to get some good sparring. That lets you know, because I done heard about, I'll tell y'all niggas something, man. I ain't going to say no names, but y'all know I'm from Philly. There's a lot of Philly fighters. I done heard of guys getting ready for world title fights, sparring kids, amateurs, niggas who's nowhere near their weight class. So let's say, for instance, they 160s, right? I would say the real division, but that'd probably give it away. But let's say you a middleweight, you fighting at 160, and for your fight against a top 160 guy, you over here bringing in 140s, 147s. Like, nigga, what? What the fuck is you doing? Like, you sparring kids, and like you, and they whole thing was, I remember, they whole thing was, oh, we don't want to take no punishment in sparring. I mean, we gonna save ourselves for the fight. But y'all not developing in that sparring. Not every sparring session need to be hard, but you need those hard rounds in order to give yourself that to give yourself that reassurance that you're ready for the fight. Bro, if you playing pity pat and sparring and just working with niggas, how you gonna know if you're gonna go to the next, like you're gonna be able to switch into that next gear when you need to when it comes fight time? Rocco says sparring is practice. Muhammad Ali got beat up by sparring partners his whole career. And no disrespect, but what ended up happening to Ali as a result of that? Nigga, Tricks, you gotta be trolling. This nigga said Canelo will go undisputed if he spars and trains with Benavidez. Facts. Nigga, if you think Canelo gonna step foot anywhere near Benavidez, you out your rabbit ass mind. That nigga Canelo will retire before he trained with Benavidez. And that nigga would never leave Eddie Reynoso. Canelo is a very loyal dude. Niggas don't even be peeping. Like, some of the most successful fighters of all time stuck with the same trainer. But same team. Floyd, same team. Andre Ward, same team. Canelo, same team. Felix Trinidad, same team. Bella, I think that there needs to be hard sparring. Trust me, this is coming from somebody who been doing this for a while. Hard sparring is needed, but it's not needed all the time. Like, you don't want to leave no fight in the gym. I understand that. But there's times where you gotta, you know what I mean, get some tough rounds. And you know what I mean? Just like how you don't want every run to be a hard run. right? But you need some hard runs in there to give yourself that mental, that reassurance mentally that you could do this if you need to. There's no way to really give yourself reassurance that you could do something unless you prepare yourself to do it. You know what I mean? So that's just some shit you can't go around, man. You're not gonna be having soft touches and soft sparring, and then had a gas tank to go blow for blow war, because you doing all this pity pat and sparring. But what if your fight just turned into an all out war? Are you gonna have the condition necessary to be ready to bang for 12 rounds? Pause. Probably not, because you didn't train your body to go through that in camp. Trick says, how would you prepare your guy if he was fighting Sebastian Fundora? Well, it's difficult to prepare for Sebastian Fundora just considering the fact that he's so tall for such a light weight class. So finding sparring in itself would be extremely difficult. I got a 6'5" southpaw in my gym but he's an amateur. He's nowhere near as experienced as Fundora. But what I could say is he would be tough to prepare for. But in terms of strategy, we definitely going through the motions each and every time. First of all, from the outside, we're going to be defensively responsible. So we definitely going to be working on defense, and using multiple approaches, mastering multiple approaches on how to successfully find your way on the inside, whether it's through the jab, whether it's through feints, you know what I mean? Whether it's, while Fundora's throwing, you know what I'm saying? You smother the punch, you close that gap, and then we're going to be working on some heavy inside work. And then we conditioning our bodies to go through hell. Because that's what you're going to have to do, man. Because Fundora can also fight on the inside. So, you know what I mean? We're going to make sure that we working on keeping our defense solid, even in the pocket. You know what I mean? Placing big shots, chopping, and, looking to chop him down. But even on the inside, keeping your defense on point. When you at long range, you know what I mean? Keep your defense on point. At mid-range, keep your defense on point. You know what I mean? Because Fundora was pretty good at fighting at mid-range and close range when he was coming up. But now he's understanding how to box at long range. Because now he's starting to understand the importance of using the gifts that God gave him. So you got to be ready for all, ranges in the fight. But the key, I mean, you don't want to get hit with no sneaky counters. Keeping that defense tight. Going over a few different strategies on how to close the gap with a taller fighter, and pushing your conditioning to the limit, again in the best shape possible, and then finding, working on punch placement on the inside. That's for sure. We killing Fundora body. There's a new 6'5", 154 fighter out of Cali, Boots Kaspar. What's his name? What's his name, brother? Let me know what his name is. Boots probably going to have to bring Mike Fox from D.C. Well, Maryland. He's a 6'4" southpaw. That's who everybody hires to get ready for Fundora anyway. And then who else? Shit, his brother Alantez Fox would have been good work, but I think he's an orthodox. But I don't even think he boxed anymore. I don't know. There's a lot of shit. Atifo Burlington would be good work for Boots, but I don't know if Atif would be willing to do that. Atif is 6'4", like a 6'3", 6'4" southpaw, but he's a light heavyweight. But Boots, he fights light heavyweights all the time. Or spars light heavyweights all the time. Even cruiserweights. Atif would be good work, though. All right, y'all. This is gonna be my last question, then I'm gonna get up out of here. Yasir Ali says, "How do I see Ryan versus Ben going?" I think Ryan gets the knockout against Conor Ben, and it ain't necessarily because he's on a totally different level. He's more skilled. It's none of that. I think the biggest problem going into this fight for Conor Ben is going to be the weight cut. This dude has not fought at 147 for God knows how long since he popped positive. You know, since then, he fought a couple times at 54. He fought a couple times at 60. He put on all that muscle, getting ready for the Eubanks at 160. Now he's cutting into the muscle. He cut into the muscle in the lead up to that Regis Prograis fight. Looked extremely drained. Had to cut just about every ounce of fat that he had in his body, which is not healthy. Weighed in 149 and a half and looked absolutely drained against Regis. And what confirmed that he was drained to me was his performance. He had a horrible performance. Looked stale. You know what I mean? Punches didn't have no real type of power on it. None of that shit. He stood active. He was in shape. And Conor Ben got dogging him, so he going to fight. But this nigga had like zero power. You know what I mean? Like he just like, and he was getting hit clean too. He wasn't responding right defensively. You feel me? So it was just a terrible performance in my opinion. Like you let Regis feel like he had a chance to beat you at certain times. Like this motherfucker, man, that dude Regis was looking hella confident in that bitch. That shit was confusing to me. So, you know, all in all, I think that Conor Ben is going to be even more drained going into this fight. You know, because if you drained at 149 and a half, now imagine having to cut 2 more pounds off of that. Imagine having to cut 2.5 more pounds off of that to just hit 147 on the money. Something tell me Conor Ben gonna miss weight. I wouldn't be surprised if he missed weight. Do not be surprised if he missed weight. If he don't miss weight, I would not be surprised if the fight gets canceled and Conor Ben gets hospitalized. I hope that's not the case. I hope that doesn't happen. But I'm telling you, if it does happen, remember I told y'all that. Because that weight cut looks brutal. That shit, what they be saying in the UK, looks brutal. I can't make 147 anymore. I'm absolutely drained. I'm gutted. And I couldn't fight Ryan for the WBC title. You know what I'm saying? That nigga gonna be hooked up to IVs and all type of shit trying to get his shit back together. But what happens when you had them tough type of weight cuts, man, that fucks with your punch resistance. And Ryan ain't the type of nigga that you should be going into a fight with no punch resistance. I think Ryan gonna hit him I think he gonna crack him with a left hook on his temple. Conor Ben gonna do a little dance. I think Ryan gonna punish him and get that ref to step in, bro. That's what I think gonna happen. I think Ryan gonna knock Conor Ben smooth out. And if Conor Ben beat him, that nigga Ryan worse than what I thought. Because ain't no way you're supposed to lose to Conor Ben. He got no championship level experience. They face no elite level guys. You have. You feel what I'm saying? And it ain't like he gonna have an advantage over you being a drug cheat. You a drug cheat too. Shit. May the best chemist win out this motherfucker. But that's what I personally think. I appreciate you guys for coming through and showing love. As always, I'm going to call it a night. I do have work in the morning, so thank you very much for tuning in. Shout out to everybody that's been contributing to the live. Shout out to everybody that donated, you know, the super chats and all that good shit. Let me make sure I read all of them. Oh, shit. Forever Runway Fashion Line dropped 2 more super chats. Let me read them real quick. He said, Keyshawn calling everyone but his nemesis, Andy Cruz. We know that. He was so happy when Andy Cruz lost. He should have been upset because he should have been aiming to give Andy Cruz his first loss. But it is what it is, bro. That's just how the way Keyshawn cut. He liked to talk, but he don't really like to step. Forever Runway with another $2 super chat. He said, we need to put more respect on Boots' chin. I think Boots takes a shot pretty well, man. I think he's pretty durable, but you know, they ain't gonna give him no credit because for one, a lot of these guys not really big fans of Boots. And you know what I'm saying? He's a threat to a lot of these guys' favorite fighters. So, you know, unfortunately, I don't think that's really gonna be something that they do. I don't think they're gonna put respect on Booth's name anytime soon. But it is what it is. Shout out to the nation. Shout out to the mob. I'll be back at y'all with another live 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow to continue cooking up on what's going on in the boxing world. Until then, I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. My body, man. Peace.